here comes the concept. Yeah. So these are the functions, and you see that these are the functions that we have defined in the same way by using the keyword, by using the function keyword, by using the name of the function. And now here's the concept that you are aware of, but I would like to just discuss it a little bit. You know that a function typically can accept some values and typically can return some values. Whenever you say something is a function, function has this capability to sometimes accept some values and return some values. Now, here's the catch. Always be very clear that returning of a function is very different from outputting something from the function. And we have both examples over here. Do you see this square function right now in its form, its original form? This square function, if I ask you to read about this function, what this function does, so you'll say square is a function that accepts one parameter and displays its square but does not return anything. Are you guys getting that one? So a function might not return anything. Function might produce some output but does not return anything. Are you guys understanding the difference between returning and getting the output only? Sometimes some function might just give you the output and do not return. How about this one? If I ask you that read about this function, you will say, okay, this add is a function that accepts two parameters and then does what? It returns on both of their sum. It just returns the sum. So it is a function add that accepts two values and returns one value. Make sense, everyone? Now here I'm about to tell you something very important. Almost in all programming languages, this is the problem or this is the issue with the function. Functions can only return one value at a time. There are workarounds on that, but right now just understand this is a limitation of a function. That function can only return one value out of function. Sometimes you might be thinking if it is accepting two variables, two values, why not it's able to return two values? Just keep in mind in its original form, in its like I said to you that there are certain workarounds for that one. But in their original form, a function can accept any number of arguments, but function can return only one value. Would you guys remember that one? That a function has this limitation that it will just return one value. And you know what is the reason behind that? If I just talk about little bit about the reason of that. Because this return statement actually is not used to return the value. This return statement is actually there to return the control out of the function. I'll give you an example. For example, look at that. For example, I've got this no operation over here or square. Let's talk about this square. When I write this statement, I'm calling this function. You know, from this line, this function will be called. Everyone understand that? This will be called. Function will do something. Now, interestingly, here there is no return statement. But let's suppose, for example, this we are calling, let's take this example. This function is called a comma b. Now, when we reach to this point, it says return a plus b. So, you know, actually this return, though we see that actually it is returning the sum of both numbers, but this return is actually returning out the control of this one. That now I am done processing and you just go out from where you called me back. Are you guys getting that one? In the process, we just send a value as well. Otherwise, the return actual purpose is that go out of it. I'm done. Is that making sense? So now listen, return statement always executes only once. So for example, if I've written out 10 times return statement over here, please be mindful that this will only execute once. Maybe the first return will execute or maybe the 10th will execute. But two returns cannot execute together. Are you guys getting that one? Once you get return from this one, you cannot go back in the function unless you call it again. Are you guys getting that one? And we'll talk about that. So this typically is called, this all is called the declaration of the function. We are declaring the functions. I don't see the duster here. Please, can you see the duster? Oh, it's there. All right. Now, yes. So everyone understand the function declarations? Now I'm talking about another type which is not there in our notes, but remember that, and this is a very important type. The second type of functions or second way that we can define our functions is called function expressions. Let's just write down that. And again, I would like you to take a note of that. They are called function function expressions. This is the second type of functions. How do we write functions? Then there is a third type that you find in notes, is arrow functions. I'll come to the arrow functions, but let's first of all discuss about the function expressions. Now, do you guys remember that we talked about expression the other day? What is an expression? Do you remember x is equal to y plus 1? And what was the expression here? X and y plus 1. There were two expressions. Remember, everyone? So you say either side of the equality is one expression. Make sense, everyone? Yeah. If you remember that concept, exactly that concept map over here. When we write our function as expression, it is called a function expression. How come? Let's write that and discuss that one. The first function, no op. Now, allow me to comment them out because I will name them same, right? So I'm commenting them out. So function, sorry, not function. I say let no op is equal to function and this. So look at that. How many of you understand? This is let no op. I'm defining a variable, just like we used to define variable. Let no op is equal to. Now, if I ask you something before these lines, if I ask you something, does it look like a function? You will say no. You are just defining a variable. It looks like you are about to define let no op is equal to 10, let no op is equal to ln or something. Remember everyone? We defined variable. But see what I'm done. Equal to function and no name over here. And I've given a function body. It's exactly the same like this one. Now, this is called function being defined as an expression. Are you guys making sense of it? And how, why I'm calling that? Do you see that? I told you, either side of equality is called one expression. Do you see an expression over there? Because this is equality. So do you see an expression over there? Do you see an expression over here? Do you guys see that? So it means that I have defined my function as expression. You might be thinking, what is the benefit of that? Why don't we just use the declarations? So right now, just be with me and just understand, okay, this is one way of doing that. You will know the important. Rather, I should tell you, JavaScript has this tendency that we can even pass the functions as the parameters of the other functions as well. Are you guys getting that one? Which is not the case in most of the languages. No, never in C# as well. You cannot pass a function as a parameter. Are you guys getting what I'm trying to say? Here, defining a function this way makes this no op, which is a function, which is because it is equal to the function declaration. This no op looks like a normal variable, no more. It's actually a special variable that actually contains the function expression. And if I pass this variable to a function, actually what I'm passing the whole function. Are you guys getting that one? If I say, for example, if I say let a is equal to 10 and I pass that 10 over here. So you would say, okay, you are passing a 10 value over here, because a has a value and you're passing that. If I pass this no op to another function, actually what I'm passing a whole function as a parameter. Does that make sense? So for the time being, just understand, okay, this is one of the benefits, but there are more than that. But do you understand the first benefit? That a function defined as expression becomes a normal variable, sort of a normal variable. Make sense? Okay. Another very important point that I'll tell you after. So now let's convert this square to function expression. And I'll convert that one. See, let square is equal to function a and this one. And for example, let's take the same definition, console.log. And I say a into a. Is that I have converted my square function also in a function expression form. Make sense? Now here is one point that I did not tell you and I'm about to tell you. When we define function in this way, these functions are called anonymous functions. These functions are called what? Anonymous. Why anonymous? Because they have no name. You see that? Function keyword is there, but there is no name. You might be thinking, then what is its name? Its name is actually the name of the variable. And I will call these functions exactly the same way as I call this one. But do you understand what is the difference over here? Now here, if I ask you, this is a function expression written, you will say yes. I'll ask you, what is the category of this function? You will say it's an anonymous function. You guys understand? A function without a name. Because function does not have a name. Yes, I have stored that in a variable. Don't worry about that. If I ask you only the left hand side, you will say it's just an anonymous function because it does not have any name. Does that make sense to everyone? They are called anonymous functions. Functions with no name. Same here. Look at that. Square is equal to function brackets a. It will accept one value. Console.log a into a. It just does what its name suggests. So again, it's locked. Like you just leave it open, right? Because it gets locked. Just leave it open. Thank you. Right. So this is function expression. Now let's talk about the third function, which was our add. Convert that also. Let add is equal to function, and I say return a plus b. Have I convert our third function also to function expression? Make sense? Again, an anonymous function over here, which has been given a name of add, which has been stored in a variable add. Now, how many of you remember we discussed a type of operator in last class? Type of operator. Do you guys remember that? Type of that tells you the type of variable. Now let's do a very interesting thing. We know when I say let x is equal to 10, x is a number. Remember everyone? And when I say x is equal to ln string, x is a string. If I say x is equal to true, it is Boolean. Let's say what is the data type of this no op now? Are you guys getting that one? Let's check that one. And I come over here and I write console.log and I said type of no op. Make sense, everyone? I want to run this one, and let's run with the terminal. I'm running it with the terminal, and please remember I'm running it with the terminal because just to show those who are just still having some problem. I'll see in my dir what is there, cd week2. I'll go to week2 and I'll check what is inside that, cd scripts. And then I'll check dir. Yes, I have this script.js. So I'll say node script.js. Let's run that one. It says cannot access a square before initialize. Oh, I have just discussed that. Oh, I forgot to comment that out. So I'll just make that. Look at that. What does it say? The type of this variable. What does it say? It's actually what? Function. Remember everyone? Yeah, are you looking at that? Function. So no op, since it is defined as a function, it gives the type of no op as it is actually what? It's a function. But I would like you guys to remember something very important. It is saying it function. Actually, this function, then there is date variable, date object. There is a date object in every language. Date, arrays, strings. Most of them, not strings, arrays, they all are collectively called as object data type. Will you guys remember this thing? Even though it's calling it function, but it's an object. It's an object data type. I guess but again, if I ask you a question, what is the type of this no op? What is the type of this add? So you can safely say it's a function type. But if I ask you function is basically the which one is the bigger set? So you'll get it's actually object. Function is an object. Arrays are object and all those. We'll talk about date is an object. Is that making sense to everyone? So we have seen two types of functions. First of all, function declarations, normal functions, and then we have seen function expressions. Function being defined as the one side of equality, or I should say, an anonymous function defined on the one side of equality is called an function expression with some name on the right side, right? Let no op, let something. And if I want to call this function, again, remember, someone might be thinking that how would I call that? I will call exactly the same way as I would call anything else. So look at that. CLG, sorry. And I would say, for example, add, and I pass 4,5 and I hit save. And if I run, look at that. I get 9 because I just call it. I can call it exactly the same way as I called it when it was declared. Now it is used as an expression, but I can call it same way. Make sense, everyone? Should we move forward? The third category of the function or third way to define functions, which is rather most interesting of them. I'll comment them out because, I want to define his name again. So let's come back over here. The third type of functions is called arrow functions. and which is called actually ES5, ES6 way of defining functions. ES6 way. Like you can call it advanced way or most modern way of defining the functions. Now, programmers, most of the JavaScript programmers would love to define their functions by using arrow functions, not by using, most of them, not by expressions, not by declaration. They would prefer arrow functions, and you will be convinced why. First of all, let's make all three functions in this arrow function category. Let's come back over here. And how to make that arrow functions? Let's see. I would say let no op is equal to, now, no function keyword, just parenthesis. Then this is called arrow and then curly brackets. This is same no operation, one liner by using arrow function. No function keyword, and the function keyword actually is replaced with this arrow sign. Arrow means equal to and greater than. Equal to and greater than. This is one arrow. This is exactly the same function as the previous two. The declaration or expression, it is exactly the same. And we will use it exactly the same way as we have used before. You might be thinking, what's the big deal over here? Just remember, first of all, that programmers nowadays, you will find a lot of code. You will always find arrow functions over there. So I want you to understand these very nitty-gritty basics. And I want you to become fluent in that later on so that you can also work on functions very. Now let's convert the second function. Let square is equal to, now just parenthesis, but it had one A over there, remember? And I would write here console.log A. I'm just taking the same definitions. No big deal here as well. Just function keyword is gone and function keyword is replaced with what? Arrow symbol, right? The arrow function has been replaced with arrow. Third one, let's work on third one. Let add is equal to, again, A comma B, curly brackets, return A plus B. Still does not look very good. But now you will start understanding, realizing the importance of arrow function. Look, if in an arrow, it's exactly the same as the previous one, right? If in an arrow function, there is only one statement, remember this very clearly. And by the way, you are studying C#. By the way, if you want to check, in C#, these type of functions are called lambda functions. If someone had a chance to look at that. Not yet, because it might be you might study it towards the end of the sessions. But remember this arrow functions because lambda functions are exactly the same in C#. What we call arrow function here is called lambda in C#. And you can just Google that as well right now. You'll see that lambda function. Anyhow, now look at that. This is very important. If in this arrow function, there is only one statement. First of all, I can take away the curly brackets. So I'll take away, first of all, curly brackets. And another thing, if the only statement there is of return and nothing else is happening, you can take out the return as well. Do you start to realize that why this might be a good idea to use arrow functions? Do you see that this code? It is exactly the same code of the first add, which we write down as a declaration of function. Remember everyone? Look at that. Just brackets A comma B, arrow sign A plus B. You know what does that mean? Just remember that. This only statement is a return statement. If it is not a return statement, I cannot take away the curly brackets from here. Make sense? Because whenever it is like that, it will. So for example, if I ask you, can I take away this curly brackets from over here? So what should be your answer? Generally speaking, no. Why? Because it's not a return statement. It's just a statement that is printing something. Make sense? Now, if I convert this above function to something like this, see here. I come here and I just write A star A. What does that mean, everyone? Anyone? What does that mean? It's just a short form that whatever A you accept, return its square. It's not now consoling anything anymore. It's now returning that. Are you guys getting that one? Are you understanding these arrow functions? These are the most complex thing. People always get confused listening to this arrow function. But do you see that if you just little bit focus on them, they are very interesting and very easy. Look at that. Shorthand for a function A, return A star A. My AI is also helping you out, right? Yeah.
Different from the other functions?
Sorry?
Like, what's the difference between arrow function and the normal
function expression?
Normal function.
When you say normal function, actually, we have discussed three categories: function declaration, function expression, and this one is the arrow function. So when you say that, what is the difference between this and the previous two? I'll tell you. First of all, what is the difference between the arrow functions and expressions? They look same because they define a variable and then they define a sort of anonymous function. What is the difference between the expression and here is that function expression, you need to use the keyword function and you need to use the curly brackets always, regardless there is one return or regardless there is no return. Make sense? When you come to arrow functions, it is not the case. Now, what is the difference between this and the function declarations? Very much different. Here, we are defining this function and allocating it in a variable. Also, we can make the shorthand type of this one. And as I said, if someone can write now Google, what are lambda functions in C sharp? You will see lambda functions are these functions. So if you understand them properly, when you will be working in lambda functions, later part of the course, you will very quickly understand, okay, these are the lambda functions because these are their same syntax, arrow function. They are like arrow function. So you understand? So basically, so now to answer you another question, in React, did I tell you guys one very important point here there when we were discussing ternary operator last class? Did I tell you that in React, some places you will not be allowed to use if and else, but you will be allowed to use ternary operator? Did I tell you this?
Yes.
In the same way, it's not allowed, but most of the React code, you would always love to write arrow functions rather than any of the previous state. Maybe it's not mandatory or that's different places, but when you code in React, you will understand by yourself that looks like the arrow function is the right thing because I have to write otherwise a lots of code to make one thing. So why not I should use the arrow function? It will just make my code very concise. Yeah.
Can we say that we're only going to be using the arrow functions when we return something?
Not really. We can use arrow functions for any purposes. Like for example, if I come here and you say, you say that this function not only returns, but also it has some other things as well to do. Maybe, who knows? For example, you say that, I say that we have for example, let C is equal to A plus B, and then I have to return this C. So I'll have to, I can do that one. What I'm trying to say here is that there can be multiple statements over here, but mostly when you have only one statement and that also is of return, you will always prefer the arrow function because that would again lessen down your code a big times, big times. If you write a function declarations, you'll have to write everything over there and then you have, so again, and very soon next week, I'm going to do an example with you guys and we'll do the string functions. And you will see that I'll tell you that if I use the normal function or I use the arrow function, how much they are different. You will see. Same way with the ternary operator. If I use the if and else and if I use the ternary operator, how easy it will become to just write the logic, make any logic. Everyone understand that one? I hope everyone is with me. Now, let's move forward. Can I get a chair from here? You can get maybe if you can just do that. Yeah. Sorry. Actually, this room is, I don't know who has designed this room. Just thank you very much. This room is very, very odd, you cannot go there and all right. Thank you. All right. So yeah. Now let's talk about something very interesting. So again, what I will be doing during my lecture, sometimes I will be using the declarations. Sometimes I will be using the expressions. Sometimes I will be using the arrow functions. But should I expect that you guys will recognize everywhere whenever we are using? So for example, if I write this. So if I ask you, do something that accepts one parameter, right? And it does what? For example, it displays this one. I want to tell you something very cool feature of, so which type of function I'm writing over here? Declaration. It's a very normal usage, right? Remember the first one, declaration, where you use the keyword function and then, so again, in the beginning, I will keep on mixing all these together. When we'll come to the React, then we'll strictly maybe move to the arrow functions. Make sense, everyone? So we have to practice both, like all of them, expression and everything. But let's do with it. An interesting thing over here is, if I ask you something, if I call this method like this of 5, I discussed that with you guys, but I'm just discussing it one more time. If I run this program, what will be my output? Anyone? 5. Okay. So my output will be 5. Very obvious because it takes 5 and just console log out over there. Make sense? How about this one? If I call this same function again and I don't pass anything at all. First of all, I'm stopping here. Other than JavaScript, no language will allow you to do so. Every language will say, even you're studying C#, so I'm giving you both so that when you will be working there, you will say, okay, how it happened in JavaScript, why it is not happening here. In C#, you might have heard a term, function overloading. Who has heard this term, function overloading? Did you hear that in Python as well?
Yes.
Function overloading. What function overloading says? It says that your function name can be same, but parameters should be different. And arguments should be different. And you have to call that exactly that same. And if some language does not allow you to define the same name of multiple functions, you say it's not an object-oriented language. Can someone tell me, just out of curiosity, can someone tell me when a language is typically called as object-oriented programming language? Anyone? What are the conditions for a language to be called as object-oriented programming language? Anyone? Sorry? Anyone else? When a language is called object-oriented programming language. Now listen to these 3 words, these 3 pillars, and remember them. Because you are working in C#, that's object-oriented programming. In its core form, JavaScript in its real core form is not real object-oriented programming language. JavaScript has some shortcomings, but anyhow, there are 3 words: encapsulation, polymorphism, and inheritance. Again, this might not be directly part of my lecture, but it's very important information for you. Encapsulation, polymorphism, and inheritance. These 3 things make a language as object-oriented programming language. Make sense, everyone? But let's come back to our topic. JavaScript is so friendly that I have defined the function do something that should only accept one parameter. But JavaScript is so friendly. JavaScript says if you call it with one parameter, you are good. If you call it with 0 parameter, you are good. If you call it with 10 parameters, I have no problems with you. Are you guys getting what I'm trying to say here?
Yes.
JavaScript is so friendly. Remember, C# is not so friendly. If you do this same kind of thing, you define a function with one parameter and you try to call it without parameter, you will spend your whole night, program will never run. You know why? Because it says that whatever type of function you have declared, you have to call it exactly the same way. Is that making sense to everyone? If you have defined a function with one parameter, you should call it with one parameter. Why in the world you are providing no parameter? Why in the world you are providing 10 parameters? Are you guys getting that one?
Yes.
But let's come back to JavaScript, which is very friendly. Now see what JavaScript says. Now, can someone tell me what are my 2 outputs now? Yeah, good, wonderful. I hear that. My first output will be 5 and second will be what? JavaScript says, you fool, you had to actually provide a value and you did not provide a value. So I'll say undefined. The variable is there, but there is no value. And do you remember in last class, I told you when you say let y and do not give it a value, what it comes?
No.
It becomes undefined. Do you remember? Last class, I showed you let x and x is equal to 10, x is equal to ln. And I typed the type of everyone every step. So, it says that undefined. So actually what is happening? It is consoling something, but consoling what? For the second output, what it is consoling for me? Undefined. And you know why? Because I have not provided any input to that one. Make sense, everyone? Now let's move forward. Can I call this function another way? Yeah. That's what I'm 4,5. JavaScript is so good and so friendly. It will say even I don't mind now. Now, what will be my 3 outputs now? Anyone? Now I'll have 3 outputs. The line number 1, line number 2, line number 3.
5 undefined and 5 undefined and 4.
Now I got the answer. 5 undefined and 4. Let's run that. Look at that. Do you guys see that? My AI was not saying the right thing. Do you remember? It was saying too many arguments. Don't worry. JavaScript never minds it. You know what JavaScript has done? Do you guys understand what is happening? This is a very important thing I want you to understand. I'll give you some examples. Look at that. This do something was actually looking for one parameter. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Now, when I called this one, it says, okay, I'm very normal. You have called me normally. You take out the value and print that. It prints that 5 over here for me. Second time when I call it, I go out of my senses and I say, I'm trying to call this function without passing anything. So when I don't pass anything, the A becomes undefined. Make sense? So it prints undefined for me second time. Third time I pass two values. JavaScript says, I never mind, but you know what I'll do? I'll take the first value and I'll store that in A, and rest I will ignore everything. You guys getting that one? Rest I will ignore everything. I hope that's making sense. And it's a real depth of the programming. You guys understand? This could be just taught a very surface level. But you understand what's going on? It takes the first value, stores it in A, and rest it ignores everything. Yes.
So what if we wrote data type of the second function, do something, and not no parameters?
Yeah.
If we write data type of the second one, would it give us the null?
If I write the data type of this one,
Yeah.
first of all, there is a little issue. I have written down this function not as an expression, I have written down as a declaration. When I have defined this as a declaration, I cannot find the type of this one. Remember, are you guys getting that one? He's asking this question because I think you were a little bit late in class. You remember this function is written as a function declaration.
Yes.
Now, what was the second category that I write down? And after that, I was looking at the data type. Look at that. I'll show you. I understand where you are just confused, and I'll just give you that exact answer. Look at that. This is the second category, which is called function expressions. When we say let no op is equal to function, we define an anonymous function on the right hand side or left hand side, whatever. So what happens is now I can say what is the data type of no op, what is the data type of square, but I cannot ask or I cannot find the data type of this square or this no op or this add. You know why? Because they are not defined as a variable. They are just defined as a functions. Are you getting that?
Yeah.
So data type we can only see at the data type if that is defined as a variable, not by itself function declared. When we have declared a function, it's a normal function. No need to worry about that. Are you guys getting that one? Should we move forward?
Can we ask the data type of a parameter?
Yeah, definitely you can ask. You can ask.
So what if we wrote what is the data type of the parameter?
Oh, that's a very good question. Now let's come back. And I'm really happy he's asking this question. It means that he is trying to learn something. Now, let's come back over here. See here, I said type of A. Type of A. Look at that. It's a very good question. And let's see its answer. And we'll try to, oh, sorry. Type spelling is wrong. Type of A. Now let's run that one and see the output. Look at that, what has happened. I think you should get the answer and you should be thankful to him. Look at that. 5 and number. So when I pass a number, 5, it takes 5. 5 is stored and type of 5 is what? Number, we know. Second time, I do not pass anything. When I do not pass anything, A is supposed to be was there. A was supposed to be there because A is here in the declaration. Now, if you look at that, so it says that undefined is the value because I don't get any A. And the type of A, because something has not been passed, type of A is also undefined. Are you guys getting that one?
Yes.
So type of A will always become what you pass from the other part. I'll give you another example and hopefully this will clear things more out. Instead of calling this like this, if I call this with Alan, can I do that, by the way? Yes. JavaScript is so JavaScript never asks that you have to always pass the integer. And that is the difference between its distinct cousin C#. C# will say if it was integer A, it has to be integer A. Why in the world you are passing a ln over here? You know what I mean? Now let's save that and let's run that. Look at that. Do I need to explain that or you guys are understanding? Look at that. 5 number, undefined, ln string. Whatever you pass, it takes out the type of that. Make sense? Wonderful. Now let's move forward. I will write a program here. So JavaScript has an interesting thing. Let's come back over here and let's do something. So I write a function log. I'm writing a function for myself, log, and I'm not defining any parameter over here. And I say console.log, and I say and rather I'll define an I'm defining an A. Look at that. I've used something which I've not discussed. I'll discuss it now. To handle this situation, that JavaScript wants to know that how many arguments or how many parameters have been passed. JavaScript has a default object, and this object is called arguments. Do you see I've used something unusual here? What is this arguments? This arguments is actually a default object in the JavaScript function that actually takes care of all the arguments coming to it. Are you guys getting that one? See what it will do. First, I call it with 5. It will take this 5 as A. Very, very obvious that we have done before. When it says arguments.length, you know what it will do? It will go and try to calculate how many parameters have come. How many parameters have come? How many arguments have come? One only. So it will say argument.length equal to 1. Are you guys getting that one? Then I've told arguments of 0. You know actually what happens? Whatever arguments come for the calling time, it tries to make a list of those elements. It starts with the 0 and any number, it can go to any number. So can you guess what will be written over here? What will be the output over here? So first of all, 5 and then 1, and what will be here? 5, because it has started to create an arguments list, and the first argument in that list is what? 5.
Simple.
Are you guys getting that one? Now let's come. Without running this, first let's run it, dry run it. Now let's see second situation. I do not pass anything. What happens? What is the value? What will come over here? Anyone? Undefined. Wonderful. It will be undefined. What will be here? 0 arguments.length. It says that it counts and it says no argument found. So it says 0. Makes sense, everyone? Now come here. What will be the output over here?
Undefined.
Undefined again, because there was no argument. Why are you confused? There was no argument, so it says undefined. Now how about the third one? I'll come back to this one, don't worry. Third, look at that. So if I call this one, right? What will be output over here first of all? 5. Why 5? Because first value will always be stored in the 5. First value will always be stored in the A. Makes sense, everyone? 5. Okay. What about arguments.length? What will be here? 3. Wonderful. And what will be over here? Arguments of 0.
5.
5 again. 5 again. Why? Because I'm just printing the first value. Let's first of all run that, and then I'll come back to your question. Just give me a second. Look at that. Look at that. Let's confirm the output. Look at that. 5, 1, 5. Everyone agrees? 5, the parameter passed. 1, number of parameters. 5, the first parameter. Is that right? I can read this way. Now look at that. Undefined, 0, undefined. Undefined because nothing is passed. 0 because there is a length of 0 of the argument because there is no argument. And undefined again because the first argument is undefined. What about the third one? 5, 3, 5. Why this 3?
Number of arguments.
The length of arguments. How many arguments have passed? 3. You guys getting that one? Now, if I ask you a very quick question, and I need only those to answer who are a little bit confused, because you should understand that. If I come here and if I, instead of 0, if I put 2 over here, I need the exact output of my program now. Can you tell me the exact output of the program now? In the same way as these 3 lines. What will be the first output? Let's start with this one. I pass it with the 5. What will happen?
5.
I'll get 5. Wonderful. What will be argument.length?
3.
I'm calling out this one. One only. There are no 3 values. Why you are confused? There's only one value. 1. Okay, 1. What about arguments of 2?
Undefined.
Undefined. Are you guys now understanding? Because there is no 3 parameters, so how there will be something stored in arguments of 2? It's only arguments of 0 that I have right now. Are you guys getting that one? I hope you understand. Now look at that. What about this call? What will be printed out? Undefined. And what will be here? 0. What will be here? Undefined again because there is nothing at all. Now, how about this one? Can I ask you, what will be output of this one? Can you tell me the output of this one? First of all, what will be here?
5, 10,
5 and then
3.
5 and 10. No, 5 and 3. You know why 3? Arguments dot.
Number of
And how many arguments are there?
3.
3. So 3 length and then arguments of 2.
15.
15. Are you guys getting that one?
Yes.
Is that a good explanation? And this is a default method. But I'm about to blow your mind away because I'll tell you another easier way of that. But do you guys understand this one? If someone writes a program, asks you to write a program that can count how many arguments have been passed, can you now count that in a JavaScript function? You have got this arguments default object. You don't need to define them. You can just use it. Make sense, everyone? Now, everyone gets that? Should I move forward? Because I'm about to tell you another little short trick that would make your life much more easier than that even. Now, there is an operator in JavaScript. And again, I see that in the next week notes, it's mentioned there, but I always feel that in this sequence, you will understand that much properly. And it will come in the notes again, but don't worry. There is one operator which is called REST operator. There is a REST operator in JavaScript which is called dot, dot, dot. Dot, dot, dot. 3 dots. There is an operator called dot, dot, dot. It's a very interesting operator. Do you know what does it do? It says that again, define your function. Function log. I'm defining that log again, and I'll have to just,
Sir,
I've commented that out. Yeah.
just one question.
Yeah.
Like in the previous one,
Mhm.
there was only one variable.
Yeah.
You were putting 3 values,
Mhm.
but how these two were working?
Oh, okay. So it means that you are still a little bit confused about that one. I'm just reopening this one again. Now, a student has a question, and again, if someone is confused, let's have a very quick review of that one. He's asking, his question is again that we were only providing, how these 3 values are coming up. So let me tell you again, arguments is a default object that is always in every function. Just remember that. When I define the function, I say print A first of all. So whenever I pass 5, it just prints 5. Whenever I pass 5, 10, 15, it just prints 5 because A will be always the first value.
Yes.
Make sense? Now, here I do not pass anything, so it prints undefined. It says nothing has been passed. Make sense? What about second one? This is a default object, arguments, that has a length as well. And what is the length? Any number of parameters that you will send will be the length of the parameters. In this case, how many parameters you are passing? How many parameters you are passing? 0. How many parameters you are passing? 3. Do you know? Here it will print the length of the argument. How many arguments you have passed? Number 3, arguments of 2 I have just written down. Actually, when arguments are passed, it creates an arguments list of array. And on the first location, it stores the first value, then second, then third, then fourth. If there are 100 values, all of them will be stored in arguments. So I've written down arguments of 2. So if I ask you for the first call, 5 will go at the 0 location. What will go at the 1 location? Undefined. No, it's undefined. And what will go at the 2 location? Undefined. So it will, for the first time, it will print what? Undefined. And here also it will print undefined. And what it will print? Because 0 location, it will go 1 location 10 and 2 location 15. So when I say arguments of 2, for the third value, it will say 15.
But it can catch only one value. That's my question.
That's a yes. So his question is that it can only catch one value. How in the world it is able to catch 3 values? So listen, the answer is it is able to catch these 3 values because of the arguments object that is default there. Arguments is catching that values. Don't worry about that. You have defined. Even I could define this without any variable as well over here.
Okay.
And it could catch any number of parameters.
So they don't care about the.
Because argument does not care about the value or declaration. Argument says whenever number of arguments will come, I'll catch them and I'll store them in an array. Are you guys getting? So for example, just to end this discussion here, if I ask you another question, it's just from you. If I just come here and I say 20, I say 25, I say 30 or whatever. If I just call that one, there is an error here. Now, can you tell me the output of this line now, line number 173? What will be the output? So first of all, what will you print it out? 5 and then 6 because there are 6 values. Wonderful. And then again 15 because I'm printing arguments of 2. Arguments 2 is still 15. And if I come here and if I say arguments of 4, now what will be my output now? Ready? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. The 4 is what? 25. So 25 will be printed out. I hope everyone is clear about that. And this is a very interesting and important concept about the functions. And this is the power of function in JavaScript, that you can work a lot of wonderful things. Now, yes, I was discussing the REST parameter. You get it? Okay, REST parameter. REST parameter is very interesting. You know what REST parameter says? REST parameter says, why not you just come here and put a dot, dot, dot and give your own name. I say numbers, for example. Okay, So look at that. Dot, 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 and numbers. Are you guys getting that one? Dot, 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 numbers. What this rest parameter says? When you use this dot, 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 whatever values will come as a parameter, it will create an array as it has created arguments, but this time it won't call it arguments. Rather, it will call it, can someone complete, numbers? Why? Because I have given this name of numbers. Are you guys getting that one? I don't want to use the default arguments. Rather, if I write dot, 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 numbers, it actually does what? It actually catches all the arguments, creates an array, and it is called numbers rather than arguments. Are you guys getting that one? Now let's play with it and let's try to do something. If I come here and I write console.log and I write, look at that. If I say numbers.length, now be careful, I will ask all of you guys, and numbers of 2. Look at that. If you understand this one, then we'll take a short break. Okay. And if I call this like this again. Can someone guess my output here? Can someone guess one? I can run it, but let's not run it and try to guess that. First of all, dot, dot, dot will make whatever arguments are coming, they will become an array with the name of numbers, no arguments now, because I'm using my own name, right? Numbers. So what will be my output over here? Can someone suggest me what will be the output for numbers.length and numbers of 2? Anyone? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 values. Numbers.length means it will say that there are 6 values. So 6 number. And then how about numbers of 2? Again, numbers of 0, number of 1, number of 2. It will print out 15 for me. Are you guys getting that one? This rest operator is very interesting and important. Who will answer me this, what I'm about to write? If I write a comma. Now, I'll be very happy if someone can answer it now. Just think about it. Don't run it. Just think about it. Don't run it. And try to tell me what will be my output now.
5.
First of all, 5. No. First of all, okay. What will be my output? First of all, 5. Why 5?
Because 8 separate.
Because the first value will go in A, which does not become the part of my numbers. Are you guys getting that one?
Yes.
So what is the value of A? I know the value of A right now here. 5. 5 is the value of A. Make sense, everyone? And the rest of it becomes the list. So what will be my other output? Numbers of 2.
20.
Now it's be 20. You know why? Because this is now A and this is the list. Is getting that one?
Yes.
Can I ask you a little favor? Can you try to write a program? Listen, write a program where you call like this one and it takes the 5, which is the first number with the name A, and tries to say that how many times this A has appeared in the rest of the list. Is that looking a little bit of valid question over here? I pass the parameters and I pass, for example, 8 parameters. Take the first value, which is A, for example. Are you guys getting that? If I ask you what is A, you know that it's 5. So I'm actually asking that whether 5, or just, put it this way, whether this first value has appeared in the rest of the list or not. So listen, first of all, what I'm telling you. This is called actually rest of the numbers. It's called rest parameter. It's called rest of the numbers. And this is any one parameter. How about this one? I'm very happy that you guys are understanding this and I'm really happy about it. If I ask you this now, what will be my output now? Very simple. If you know the basics, you know the output. Yes. What will be my output? Numbers.length will be what? 4. Wonderful. You know why? First is A and second one is B. So rest of the 4 values are my list. Make sense? Okay, then what is numbers of 2?
25.
0, 1, and 2. We'll take a break over here. I hope you guys understood this one.
Yes.
It is a little bit of, a difficult concept, but I hope that I was able to make you guys understand that. So the question I was talking about, someone can try those things out, funny things out. Okay, take the first value and try to match it with the other values. Something like that, So let's take a break of 10 minutes and I'll be back after 10 minutes. And yes, we have our in class 1 today, by the way, just remember that.